action. What's going on out there? This is the From a Fan's Perspective podcast. I'm your host, JB, here with my co-host.
Your boy, Mr. What it do?
And we're back with another episode. This is episode 4 from the Fan's Perspective podcast, where we talk everything MMA and UFC news related. First thing we want to get to is we're going to go into the past, and we want to talk about the previous fights from last Saturday, which was the Cannonier-Gastelum card. And off air, Mr. was going ahead and getting into something, so I'll let him finish what he was saying.
No, basically all I was talking about was our parlays, and I'm starting to get a little more into betting, but last week all of my parlays lost. I had like 5 of them, and they all lost. 4 of them lost with only 1 fight, and it was Saldana and what's the heavyweight? Chase Sherman. And then the other ones lost by like 1, 2.
Have you won this year on a parlay yet?
Yeah,
you hit.
I won 700 on Islam and Miesha Tate. So shout out to Islam and Miesha Tate. And speaking of Miesha Tate, she just got engaged. Did you see that?
No, and I don't want to.
Hey.
No, I'm just playing.
Hater.
Congratulations to Miesha Tate. I actually seen Miesha Tate in person in Vegas. I seen her at a press conference. Beautiful young lady. I'll say that.
Sweet.
But so talking about the fights from last Saturday, one fight that I didn't lose on was the Cannonier-Gastelum fight.
Yeah.
I had Cannonier winning that one. And how do you feel? So after watching that fight, first of all, I want to get your take on who you thought won that fight because it was very close.
Yeah.
So I had Cannonier winning. And who did you have winning?
I had Cannonier winning also, but I thought it was pretty close too. But I mean, Kelvin looked good, man. He's just too small for middleweight to me.
Yeah, same here. I think he's too small. I think if he makes 170, I don't know why, because he was at 170.
Yeah, and he missed weight. He missed weight a few times at 170. He missed weight against Tyron. I know that by like 7 pounds or something like that. Like it was a big amount. It wasn't close. So,
how hard do you think it is for guys to find their true weight? Do you think that you should be doing a lot of jumping around, or do you think that
so as a wrestler,
you kind of know with your body?
As a wrestler, you know where you're comfortable, right? So if you feel where you're comfortable at, and then you compete at that weight, and even if you didn't wrestle or do combat sports, walking around, you know how you feel comfortably at a certain weight, whether it's at a fat boy weight or whether you're skinny, and a lot of fighters and combat athletes don't focus on that in itself. They focus on what other people look like at that weight.
Right.
They're like, oh well, he's too big, or oh this guy's too big for me. I can't beat him. You know, instead of focusing on how you feel and then fighting at that weight that you feel good at and working on your technique. If you're better than a guy, you're gonna be better than him. That's it.
So if Gastelum was to make the cut to 170, do you think he automatically gets a top 10 guy, top 5 guy? Where do you think that would put him at if he was? Because like you see, Barboza is down at 145, and he's fighting, I think he's ranked number 10, and he's fighting a guy at number 8, I believe, this Saturday.
I thought Shikaze was ranked higher than that, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure either.
But I know he's ranked though.
Okay.
So in Barboza, you see, he's, like I said, ranked 10. So where do you think Gastelum jumps in there if he does come down to 170?
I think he could possibly get a top 10 guy, but really, I think it's the same result. I think he either wins or he loses. It all depends on what Kelvin shows up, because styles make fights. And
do you think he has what it takes? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
But do you think he has what it takes to become a champion at all?
No. I don't think he has it. He's a well-rounded fighter, but he's not a specialist at anything. And most of these guys that are winning championships are a specialist at something. That it's either you're a power puncher, Francis, you're a wrestler that's good at foot stomps, Kamaru. Yeah, I mean, these guys are all good at something specifically, and it's not just a guy who's decent here, and good there. You know, they all got something that they're better than everybody at. So I don't think Kelvin will be champ, but hopefully he proves me wrong.
Yeah, man, I would like to see Kelvin in there. In my opinion, I think the Adesanya fight was his chance to become champion.
Yep. But that was a style that just Adesanya played into. I think if they fought again, it would be a little different.
I agree too. I'm just saying, as far as like if he had an opportunity to become champion,
that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Like I said, he's only 29. He's still young, man. Still got time to kind of figure things out and see what he wants to do. And who knows? You know, I wish him the best of luck. But man, those guys are some killers.
Yeah,
those top five, even at 185, man. So, you know, he's pretty much. I mean, who hasn't he fought at 185? So
yeah, man.
I mean, it's a couple names, but I mean, he pretty much had his, you know,
he's
had his run at 185. So
yeah.
So speaking of, I want to jump into another guy who is saying he's tempted to make a run at 170. I know he's got a fight with Brunson coming up, and that's Darren Till. How do you feel about that, with a guy having a date for a 185 fight, talking about 170?
See, and that's another thing I was talking about too, is just being 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I think that, like how we were talking about with Kevin Lee, him saying that he was gonna make that run at 170 and that he wanted to fight at 170, that made me feel more confident in picking him. It's the same thing. He's not confident that he's gonna win this fight, so he's already talking about scurrying back down to the smaller weight class. And to me, that's just like, okay, dude, well, you need to figure it out. You need to sit down with your team and with who you trust and figure out what's going on, because you can't take a fight and have a fight booked at 185 and be talking about the champ all the time, but then be talking about making a title run at 170. Which one do you want to do?
So do you think it's the Brunson fight he's scared of, or does he just see who's at 185 and he's kind of like comparing himself?
I think he's not confident. I think
he thinks he can beat Brunson.
I don't think he believes it. How often have you heard him bring up Derek Brunson?
That's true. I mean, I haven't really heard Darren Till really bring up anybody. He's pretty press conferences and media, like leading up to fights. He's pretty laid back guy.
He's scared to eat his words. No, he's not. Before that, you saw how he was talking about Tyron and on his come up, until he got derailed the way he did.
Oh, you're talking about just like calling guys out?
Yeah, calling guys out, being confident, saying he's gonna win this fight and whatnot. He hasn't been doing that. He's been making jokes on Twitter and calling himself Karen Till and changing his profile picture to weird stuff and going back and forth with Bisping. I mean, that's fine, but what do you want to do? That's all I'm saying. What do you want to do? Figure it out. You're either 170, 185. You're either running for the title or you're not. Which one do you want to do?
That's kind of tricky, because I'm kind of on the other side of that a little bit, because I don't mind guys fighting at 185 and 170. Like, if there's a fight you want to take at 185, and then if there's a fight at 170. But I also agree with, you know, the whole thing of what do you want, like where do you want to become champion at, and things like that. But I think there's different guys fight for different things. I'm not going to say Darren Till doesn't want to become champion, but I think for him to be versatile, to fight at 170, 185 is definitely bigger paychecks, because there's a wider range of guys he can fight. You know, there's a couple fights I would like to see him at 170 and at 185. So, I mean, I don't know. Does Darren Till make another run at the belt? He's kind of like in that Gastelum
Yeah, I don't think so.
area, you know?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's kind of, I'm thinking about it. That's kind of weird. I wish him.
He really doesn't. He really doesn't even.
Till, but
I don't dislike Darren Till.
I don't know if he makes another run.
He doesn't fight often enough to even be talking about that.
Yeah.
When's the last time he fought? I don't even remember the last time he fought. I don't even remember who he fought last. I mean, like, I don't know what weight class it was. None of that. Like, it's cool. It's cool keeping yourself relevant and all, but at the end of the day, fighting gets you championships, and he hasn't been fighting, so.
He's got to be more active, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Whether it's 185 or 170.
Right. But figure out what you want to do.
What you have next for us?
Well, I just wanted to note that my boy Chad Money Mendez is going to BKFC. I don't know if he has like a exclusive deal where he's doing like a certain amount of fights or how much he's getting paid. But I'm a fan of Chad Money Mendez, which is why I just wanted to say it. And I've been wanting him to come back to MMA because I think he could possibly make a run for the title. I actually thought he won the Jose Aldo fight. I think it was him versus Aldo #2. I thought he won. And then him versus Volkanovski was a really good fight until he got, put down. But then, I just been wanting to see him come back. And and after that suspension where he has impetigo or something like that, and he was using the cream for it, and they suspended him for 2 years. I thought he was gonna come back to MMA, but then he ended up retiring, and now he's going to BKFC. So I'm real excited to see that. Hopefully, he drops a date soon, and I'll definitely tune into that one.
I don't want to see him in BKFC.
I don't either, but that's his best we're gonna get.
Yeah, because I think he still has everything it takes to be in the UFC, make exciting fights. I really like him. I don't think it's over for him. I've seen some training videos of him. He looks really good. Right now, bare knuckle to me, in my opinion, is kind of no man's land. Yeah. We're talking about it. I think when guys are going to bare knuckle, I think that it's kind of like the end of the road for a lot of guys. Yeah,
me too.
And girls.
Yeah, and did you see that? Did you see that Overeem is taking a fight against that really good?
Overeem, stop fighting.
Yeah,
it's over, dog.
Over. It's over, horse meat.
We love you,
no homo.
God, man, stop. Just sometimes you gotta protect fighters, man, from themselves. And protecting fighters from themselves. There's a few guys that got cut recently, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yep.
There was we said Damian Maia.
I'm not.
Who should have retired.
I still don't know if Damian Maia. I mean, if Jacare got cut or if he retired. I think it was both, but I know he got his arm broken in the last fight against the jiu-jitsu guy. And he's a jiu-jitsu guy too. Yeah. But he got his arm broken, and then I'm pretty sure he retired, and I don't think he got cut. I think he retired. But yeah, Damian Maia got cut, and my boy Jimmy Rivera got cut. And I don't know how old Jimmy Rivera is, but I think he still has some fight left in him. But Damian Maia, just kind of let it go.
Yeah, I just don't think Jimmy Rivera was just. I don't think it was cutting out for him in the UFC.
Yeah, no.
How do you feel about the UFC? Do you think it would be too much or wrong if the UFC gave guys retirement fights? Force guys to retire,
I think that's good. Like, most of these guys they have to be forced out. You have to force them out. Most of these guys aren't gonna just quit. They think that they can end on a high note. And if you don't give them that, this is it speech or even this is it fight, it'll never be it. And then they'll end up getting knocked out 8 times in a row like Anderson Silva did. And I mean, I'm not saying he got knocked out 8 times in a row, but he lost a bunch of times in a row. That's my point. These guys, they end up losing a whole bunch of fights in a row, and they end up tarnishing their legacy because they stick around too long thinking that they're going to end on a high note, and it doesn't happen that way.
That's the part for me that hurts the most, because it's always what you've done for me lately.
Exactly.
And a lot of these guys, they're legends, but when you start losing, I'll go all the way back to Chuck Liddell, like how big the Iceman was, like fighting, and then once it was like he was over the hill and you knew it was time to let it go and he wouldn't, and he just started looking like a shell of himself, that really tarnished his career. And like you see a lot of people, even like to this day, I'll see like kind of YouTube videos of people kind of making fun of him, things, and like
because now he's the guy who got beat up by Tito.
So it's like I don't like to see things like that. I think they should have retirement fights. I
think that's a good idea too, and I think they should acknowledge that these guys are legends and just celebrate them a little more. They don't celebrate these legends like Clay Guida.
I was just gonna bring up Clay Guida.
Clay Guida just fought.
I was just gonna bring him up.
I thought he won.
Me too.
But he just fought and he's still fighting. Like, why is Clay Guida still fighting? He's been around since forever, dude. Like, that's.
I seen the UFC. They did like the Road to Glory or something like that. the UFC did, and they like marked his whole progress leading up to UFC, and it started like in like 05, 06.
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
just like,
ridiculous.
That's
man.
crazy.
I salute to these guys that can still compete like that, but you got to know when to hang it up. And I think that most of these guys they're not gonna do it on their own, so they need to. The UFC needs to push it on them a little more.
And like we were talking off air, I had said that I had a little UFC conspiracy theory about that, the whole Clay Guida thing. Because if he wins that fight, like, what do you do with him from there?
Right.
Like, what do you do?
I don't know, man. That's tough to even think about. What do you do with him? What do you think?
That. I mean, you give him another give him another guy.
Is he ranked?
No, not after that fight.
But was he ranked before that?
No.
Yeah,
Mark Madsen wasn't ranked either.
No. Well, Clay. I thought Clay was, but I'm not sure. But I mean, he beat Michael Johnson.
Who's is Michael Johnson even still in the UFC?
I think he is.
So I mean,
yeah.
And that fight with that his last fight, it was good for a Clay Guida fight where he's at in his career. Yeah. I'm not saying that it wasn't a bad fight, but as far as
he did ask for an uppercomer too, so they gave him what he wanted. He got the fight he wanted. He fought the way that he wanted, but the results just weren't there. And like I said, I thought he won, so I thought that could have been his high note. I thought that could have been where Clay Guida went out on top, but I guess only time will tell.
because it kind of like he's got that Cerrone effect.
Exactly.
He's got that Cerrone effect.
He's always fun.
Yeah, and it's like right when you think like, okay, you lose one more, so then he wins.
Yep.
Then it's like, so it's gonna get to a point where like maybe you have to protect Clay from himself.
Exactly.
Because he's probably gonna keep trying to fight.
Yeah.
He's a warrior like that.
Yep.
So let's go from people on the tail end of their career to people that are just kind of starting out new into the MMA world and highly potential prospects. And one that I want to bring up is Kayla Harrison, two-time Olympian, gold medalist in judo. She was with PFL, and now she's a free agent and looking to go to the UFC. I don't know if she's I know the UFC wants her.
Well, the thing is, so I don't know about all that. I don't know if the UFC wants her.
Why wouldn't they?
Why would they? They have a marketable champion already. And they would have to... Do they though? Yeah, Amanda Nunes isn't a marketable champion.
Is she?
Is she not?
I don't think so.
Come on, bro. You tripping.
Amanda Nunes is not. No.
You're tripping.
Amanda Nunes is
a marketable champion.
No, I don't think so.
A lot of people are considering.
And no disrespect to her, I'm only saying the UFC doesn't push her. She's got a really good story that the UFC does not push.
Yeah.
And I forgot what card it was on that Amanda Nunes was on.
With Ronda Rousey. They completely.
Yeah, and exactly.
But that was because it was Ronda though.
And Kayla could be a better version of Ronda.
No, bro, she's not.
Both judo.
Who is
Olympians.
Kayla fought? Name one person. Like their actual
Who did
name.
Ronda fight before she came to the UFC?
Ronda started the UFC as in women's MMA.
Right, that's my point. You got to start with somebody.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what Ronda was. Kayla Harrison isn't that. She's just coming over. And
so she's got to fight somebody.
And Kayla Harrison is at 155. There is no women's 155 in the UFC. There's barely a women's 145. There's two people ranked at 45. Kayla Harrison would have to cut down to 145 in order to even get a fight, and it most likely would be the champion. But she just cut weight, and who knows who Kayla Harrison is besides MMA fans?
I think if they push her, if Kayla Harrison beats Amanda Nunes, I think she becomes the star that Amanda Nunes should have been.
She beats Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's gonna beat her. I'm just saying that I think that Kayla Harrison, for whatever reason, being an Olympic judo competitor and gold medalist and world champion, there's something about that I think the UFC, they've seen the formula with Ronda. Why can't they have that with Kayla Harrison? I just don't see. I mean, I understand she's like, a big. There's less. But who's to say that Kayla? She knows that too. You know, she knows she can't fight at 155. Like and bring like look, you can't.
The thing is, like when you look back at the old UFC days, right, where there was such a lack of skill and technique that if you had a certain technique, you were winning, right? If you were able to mix two different arts together, you were most likely going to win because those other guys only had one.
Right.
That's what Kayla Harrison is to PFL. Those girls over there, nobody knows them. They're all like 1-20, and she's just beating these girls up by however she wants to. She's not doing that to Amanda. She's not doing that to Jermaine Durand to me. She's not doing that to these girls that are in the UFC that easily.
Now, earlier, you did say to become champion, you are normally great at one specific thing.
Yep. But you also have other things.
Who's to say when Ronda came to the UFC, she was a mixed martial artist, or was she?
She was strictly judo.
Exactly.
But everybody else had nothing. That's
it
why
wasn't
she
that
was
long ago,
bro. Those were girls though. This was the start of women's MMA and UFC.
Durandamy's
the reason she was winning was because she was running in at people and running in at these girls, grabbing them and just throwing them down and submitting them. Every single fight was the same.
Khabib fights every single fight the same.
But it isn't like that. His is a calculated approach. Hers is just an aggressive, like how Francis runs in with those wild punches. Yeah. That's what her fighting style was, except for it was grabbing.
He's a champion.
So you think Francis? Do you think Francis is gonna be gone?
No, but because Gane is great at one thing.
He's too one-dimensional.
Gane is one-dimensional. What are you talking about?
Not.
How is he not?
Gane has a game plan and he strategizes he uses a certain. Francis has no game plan going in. The one time he did, he won. It was against Stipe. Every other fight, it was like.
He doesn't have time to get into a game plan. Bro. He's had how many first round knockouts did he have before the Stipe fight that went the distance?
Because those guys have nothing.
He hasn't had a chance to show you everything Gane has because Gane goes to decision every single fight and Francis knocks these guys out in the first round.
Because he has a game plan and he strategizes around it.
How do we not know Francis
knock people out?
I'm not saying he can't knock people out. No, I don't like that argument. I don't like that argument.
He could knock
Everybody can knock people out.
He pretty much knocked Derek Lewis out.
Everybody can knock people out, right? But if he could pick to knock guys out in the first round in the first 5 seconds, I guarantee he would choose it. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
There's some fighters who like to fight.
There's
some fighters who like the art of fighting. They don't just want to.
I'm not gonna say they don't like the art. They're not gonna play with their food. They're going to get you out of there, especially if you're on the road to becoming a champion. You're not going to risk it. You want to get that guy out there as quick as possible. I don't agree with that. I think that
I think so.
Maybe if once you're champion, and you kind of do like the thing where guys like, it looked like, John, once you become champion and you're set in stone, like where your legacy is, it looks like John kind of goes out there and plays with people. Sometimes
I agree with John struggles.
Well, I say he struggled because he doesn't take guys serious is what I think. But that's because he's already champion. He's already done what he's done. Gane is on the road to becoming somebody. Gane isn't anybody yet. But so it's like the way he fights.
Gane is the interim champion now.
Yeah, but he still isn't as far as legacy wise. I mean, he's still a nobody. Legacy wise, he hasn't won a belt.
He has a belt. If there was a dinner that only UFC champions were invited to, Gane would be sitting at that table. And you can't take that away from him. That's a legacy in itself. If he was to retire or get injured or something,
he would not have a legacy.
He would.
He would be known as the guy that was I'm not saying he'd be trash. Of course people are going to know who he is. He wouldn't have that. I'm talking about people like John Jones.
People would look back on him and be like,
man, John,
he could have done this, he could have done that.
Potential.
That's a legacy.
Potential is a legacy, but that's not a legacy you want to die on.
Well, no,
potential?
we're not talking about what you want to die on. We're talking about if you have it or not.
I'm saying
he already has something under it.
I'm saying, but there's plenty of guys who've had potential that we see what happened. Like the potential, they could have done this and they never did it. I'm not saying Gon's not going to be able to do that, but I'm saying I guarantee you the mentality of Gon and any other fighter, and if it's not that, I'm questioning you because you haven't done shit yet. Until you get that belt, you haven't done nothing in the UFC. Yes, don't take my word so literal. You've done things, but you don't have a legacy set in stone that you don't have that yet until you
has an interim belt.
That's not the real belt. It's not the real
belt.
It's a belt. If Jorge Masvidal has the BMF belt.
Listen to me. If that's true, that's a legacy, right? That's a legacy.
It's
Jorge
not.
Masvidal is a BMF champion.
I'm not saying
nobody can take that from him.
But what I'm saying is, like I said, don't take my word so literal. It's a legacy. You'll always be remembered as the interim champion, right? If he stopped fighting right now, I get that. But what I'm saying is that until you're a champion, until you've defended that belt, until you broke records, until you become that household name like that, you should not be playing with your food. Like when it comes to fighting.
If that's how you fight, then that's how you fight.
Granted, I understand guys' fighting styles are different, but what I'm saying is to bring it all the way back to my first point about Francis, we haven't seen a game plan for Francis because he knocks guys out so fast. That might not even be his game plan. No, his game
plan is to go and knock them out really fast.
But what I'm saying is that
he hits like a Ford Escort.
What if he has tools that we just haven't been able to see yet?
Well, he is.
Because people keep saying Francis is new. Yeah, it's true. He's been in the UFC long enough now to develop other things inside his game that maybe he just hasn't been able to show. Because we don't get to see much of his camp. We don't get to see any of his teammates come out and say things about what Francis is doing. The only thing that we've heard from Francis is that, his cardio. Like he needs to improve his cardio. Like they're not talking about improving his ground game, his grappling, his jiu-jitsu. We haven't his ability to take punches or defend punches. We haven't seen a lot of that. But who's to say he doesn't have that? We might have seen that against Rosenstruck if he wouldn't have came out and knocked them out the way he did. We might have seen those different areas of his game. I think that against Gon, we might see things like that in Francis' game. I'm not gonna knock him in that way. Do I think that Francis can beat Gon? No, but I think Gon is one-dimensional as well. I think he has other aspects of his game, but as far as what when you're hurt and your go-to, what is that? There's certain guys that can just do everything. Gon
has different type of submissions on his record though. He has a heel hook and a arm.
But where do those things come from?
From him getting them to the ground and going for those.
From striking.
No, you don't have to strike to take someone down.
But what I'm saying is that his striking opens up those other parts of the game. He's not a guy that's gonna come out there and just.
So you're saying that
I've seen him go out there and just take guys down, and then he actually goes for takedowns. I understand that.
But you're saying that. So does Ronda Rousey set up takedowns with strikes, or does she just run and take them down?
But that's okay. That's a little different because judo doesn't take people down the way Gon would take. Gon doesn't use judo takedowns to take people down.
What does he use?
He double legs people. he takes them down in the way wrestlers do. Ronda grabs you and takes you down. She hip toss you.
In a way, it's the same thing.
But okay.
In a way, you're saying the same thing.
I understand what you're saying, right? I'm gonna back up off the one-dimensional Gon. I'm not gonna die on that hill of Gon is one-dimensional because you're right. But what I'm saying is that Gon's focus, like when it comes to the biggest aspect of his game, everything else is way lower than that. Is what I'm saying.
That was my point earlier. Is that
his levels of everything isn't.
That was my point. Was that the champions, they have that one thing that they're specialists at, but they also have the other things.
I think Kayla Harrison can develop that.
She can.
If she's not already developing it now. Other people can too. But they're not going to be judo gold Olympic gold medalists.
What champions from judo are there right now? What
the biggest women's champion ever?
But the fighting is different. The person that she lost to is the person that you're talking about fighting this other judo girl. So you don't think that same thing's gonna happen?
First of all, I think Kayla's a better judo competitor than Ronda. She's won gold. So Kayla, in my opinion, she's a lot. Not even in my opinion, it's facts. She's bigger than Ronda, so she can fight Amanda Nunes, matches her size. And I'm not even talking. If Kayla comes into the UFC, right, you don't just throw her Amanda Nunes. She has to work her way up to Amanda Nunes. You gotta
with
give
who
her,
though? With who?
That's the part
at
that
145. There's only 2 people ranked.
That's the part that you got to kind of figure out. Yeah, I understand.
You think she's gonna fight Holly Holm?
She has to. She has to fight Holly Holmes.
Who do you think wins that?
I think Kayla Harrison wins that fight.
Holly Holm will beat the skin off that girl.
I don't think so. No,
Holly
I don't
Holm
think
will
so.
beat the skin off her.
One, because Holly Holmes isn't the same Holly Holmes she was when she fought Ronda. If you're going off of the Ronda fight,
I'm not going off any fight. I'm going off of Holly Holm's fighting style and Kayla Harrison's fighting style.
Okay. Well,
I think Holly Holm boxes her up all day, and she's trying to come in grabbing them sloppy.
I think she gets a. I think she gets a hold of her.
And don't forget,
Puts her up
there
against
ain't
the
no
cage.
gi.
Puts her up against the
MMA
cage.
is no gi.
Puts her up against the cage. Takes her down.
Nah. Especially with that weight cut, she ain't gonna be as strong. She ain't gonna be as fast. She ain't gonna be as energized. She get put down by she gonna get put down by Holly Holm. Holly Holm gonna throw that.
I'm high on
Holly
Holly
Holm undefeated against judo players. Facts.
She's never fought a judo player like Kayla Harrison.
Ronda Rousey's isn't she an Olympic gold medalist?
No.
Olympic silver medalist then.
It's
either silver or gold. She won one
medalist,
she got one of those medals. And either way it's the Olympics. In the Olympics, it's just whoever performs better on that at that moment. I'm not gonna do the whole comparison because I think
Ronda's
judo is just as good as Kayla Harrison's, and I think that but I think that Kayla Harrison would get smoked by most of the women in the 145 or 135 and 45 divisions.
So you said you think that Holly Holmes will box Kayla Harrison up, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Clarissa Shields beats Kayla Harrison?
No. Clarissa Shields got taken down in her MMA fight. Easily by somebody who was I don't even know what that girl's record. That girl's record's trash. And jiu-jitsu guys don't have good takedowns. You heard it here first.
All right, man. We'll see. What else you got for me, brother?
All right, so at 125, we got to see Alex Pantoja on the last weekend's card. Pantoja beat what's the old boy's name?
Oh, I can't remember names.
I forgot old boy's name, but Alex Pantoja got a win, and he also has 2 wins over the current champion, a decision and a submission, and he won by submission in this last fight. And all I want to know is, what do you think is next for Brandon Moreno? Is it a third match with Figgy, or is it a third match with Pantoja?
I think it's up to Moreno, right? I think all the cards is in his hand. I think if he's a gambler, I think that if he takes the Pantoja fight first, and if he's able to get that win finally, and then he fights Figgy, I think that fight will be, you got to put that on a summer card. That fight will be huge after that win.
Do you think that Figueiredo should get another win, or do you think that maybe
Figueiredo
and Pantoja should fight, and the winner gets a title shot?
That's let's see. Okay.
I think with all three
that's a good idea. No, that's a good idea, but even if let's say Figueiredo beats him, right? Once people like casuals and stuff, like everybody knows that, but Moreno's lost to this guy twice.
Right.
People are still gonna want to see that fight. So kind of, in my opinion, defeats the purpose. It's just a waiting game. Like, okay, he fights Fig, and then say he beats Fig, and then he's gonna fight this guy anyways.
Right.
So why not fight that guy first? Get him out the way, and then you got all the star power. Now you know exactly who the number 1 contender is, and you fight Figueiredo. Either way, though, the way you said it,
I think you can market those any way you want.
Yeah,
you can market them any way you want.
Right now, things are looking. I mean, depending on how Moreno feels, but it's looking good or it's looking bad for you.
Yeah.
One of the two. But I think Moreno, man, he's a special kid, and I think it's looking good for him. I think that he's got a lot of opportunity to become an even bigger star than what he already is, because he is a star.
First Mexican-born champion, right?
Facts.
And then he's just a relatable dude. Like he's most people would say big nerd, just because he collects Legos and whatnot, and he looks like a normal person. You don't look at him and see a fighter or a killer. You look at him and see a normal guy. That's somebody you can talk to.
I think that's what makes him a star.
The way he talks, everything, the way he carries himself, it's just like a normal person. And he's so relatable. And I think, like you said, that's what makes him a star. But I don't think he wins either of those fights. I'm not gonna lie.
I think he beats Figueroa. I think he beats him. In the first fight, I thought he won that fight.
I thought he lost. If he didn't get that point taken away, if Figueredo didn't get that point taken away for that nut shot, he would have won that round, and that would have been 3-2.
I gave him with the nut shot with the point. I gave him the win. In my opinion, I think that the pressure that Figueroa put on him.
The only reason it was a draw was because he got that point taken away.
That's what I'm saying. I think with that point, I think he won.
You thought he won that round?
No, once he got that point, I think he won the overall fight. Now you can't ask me to remember rounds and stuff. I don't remember everything like right now. I would have to go back and watch it. But I remember. I remember watching the first fight and saying that I thought Moreno won that fight.
That's crazy.
Because Figueroa's pressure, he was able to contain. Like, people were so shocked that he was able to take the way he took punches. He stayed calm and poised, and he returned fire back. He just didn't look as aggressive as Figueroa did. But if you look up, if you look at like the exchanges, Moreno stayed right there in the pocket with him, and he exchanged with him. Figueroa takedown, he pops right back up. They thought Figueroa's jiu-jitsu would be something that Moreno wouldn't be able to deal with. He dealt with it great. His jiu-jitsu defense was great. His takedown defense he was able to get. He canceled him out. And then with 5 rounds in his belt, you go into the second fight. He downloaded all his information. I think he's got his number now. I think he's got Figueroa's number.
Only time will tell.
We bet some money on that fight.
I most likely will.
No, me and you.
I most likely will.
Remember what happened last time? No,
I won last time.
No, and I won too. No. We bet on 2 fights.
Yeah, but I won the big one, right?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Khabib and Conor. Yeah. Yeah, but you got me with Pettis and Tony though.
So, but yeah, that's
we 1-1. We're waiting for the trilogy. We need a good fight to come up for the trilogy. Cheeto versus Sean O'Malley.
Oh yeah. That's our next bet.
That's our trilogy. Bet. We bet 200 on that, so stay tuned.
Yeah. So what do you do since you put that one out there? Where does O'Malley go from here?
I think I really think I think we talked about it before, but I think he should. Yeah, because we talked about why he said he wasn't gonna fight ranked guys.
Right.
I think that he should fight somebody ranked, man. That's all I really got to say about that. But his career is up to him.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He got all the star power in the world right now.
Yeah.
You know? So let's see what else little topics we got going on. Oh, the Tyron Woodley fight, everybody's talking about right now. That fight, the way they marketed this fight, and they haven't talked a lot, but when they did talk, it's been monumental.
Yeah,
they
really
used their time very wisely, because this fight has been very quiet.
It was hot, then cold, then hot, then cold.
It's hot when it needs to be.
Yeah,
though.
Exactly. Now it's hot again, and
great
it's coming
marketing.
up this weekend. So
that's great marketing.
Yeah.
So they had the press conference. Tyron Woodley and Jake Paul had their press conference for their boxing match this weekend, and Tyron's confidence, man. This is what we're discussing. I think that Tyron's confidence. I haven't heard Tyron talk like this in a long time. You know, he has had, like, of course, before every fight, you know, he's talking about how he's focused and he's never trained like this in his training camp.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, he's got a whole different Black Lives do matter. I'm on Tyron's side with that. But anyways, he's the way he's talking now. I just think that he's got a level of confidence that, you know, if he doesn't win this fight, we might not never see Tyron again. We might not never want to see
why
Tyron
would you?
again.
Yeah. Why would Tyron want anybody to see him if he gets beat by Mr. YouTuber?
I think this is a win-win for Jake Paul. I think this was a bad.
It definitely is. And I think
bad gamble for Tyron.
As much of a clown as people were considering Jake Paul and Logan Paul too, this is so smart for them. I mean, they're literally playing their cards perfectly. Like everything is just falling in line. Everything is planning out the way that they want it to. And like you said, whether he wins or loses, he wins. He just got a big bag.
Right.
The dude's 24? Or yeah, he's like 24. And he's basically a kid still. And he's making money. I mean, getting his name out there. Everybody's looking at Jake Paul like, yeah, you're stupid, but
I think Tyron fell for, the banana in the tailpipe. I think Tyron was focused on what he wants to do, and we talked about this, what he wants to do in boxing, and he didn't weigh the risk and reward. I think Tyron could have fought a better prospect in boxing if he wants to take boxing serious.
Yeah.
Maybe not make that amount of money right away, but with promotion, I think that Tyron could have had a decent fight with somebody else. I think that the amount of pressure that's on Tyron to win this fight for the MMA community, for people, just for everything that for all Jake Paul haters and people that just discredit Jake Paul, that's a lot of pressure on Tyron. And the way he's talking, I think that he's looking at Jake Paul as like this guy's just another guy that's
what he said.
The street.
What he said in his interview was that he thinks more of the pressure's on Jake Paul than it is on him, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah, I don't know why he would say that.
Yeah, but that's a good thing if you think about it, because you're looking at.
I wonder if he really believes that though.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying too. I don't know if he really believes that, but if he does, that's a good thing, because now he's like, look, he doesn't have that much pressure on him. He's not carrying that weight. Yeah. So if it really is like telling the truth and he really thinks that, then that's good.
So at the press conference, it was a pretty good press conference. They were pretty nice to each other. I don't think there was a lot of trash talk.
You think they really gonna get them tattoos?
No. But I think that it was a good press conference. Jake Paul is conducting himself like a great businessman.
Yeah. Tyron, you saying that? Sorry to cut you off, but you saying that? I saw this question. Do you think that Jake Paul is gonna change the fighter pay in the future?
No.
With what he's doing?
No. Well, in MMA. I mean, in the UFC, or are you talking about just in general? In general,
fighter pay. MMA, UFC, whatever.
UFC isn't going to change. They're set in stone for a long time, I believe. And there's a lot of guys that are coming out, that I'm glad you brought that up, that are discussing fighter pay. And to my surprise, there's a lot of guys on the other side of the fence that are saying, no, we're getting paid when we're supposed to get paid. Right. Michael Chandler came out and said that. Kevin Holland came out and said that. There are guys who are saying that they should be getting paid what they should be getting paid.
Yeah. But
then I hear a guy like Cyril Gahn who said, it's unfair that I'm not getting paid like soccer players or basketball players, and things like that. And Jake Paul is he's making noise with that. He's definitely making noise. Dana I think sent him like a cease and desist, like kind of like a threat to stop, you mentioned in the UFC
I seen that.
And things like that, or talking to my fighters.
Yeah.
So he's definitely making noise, but I think that the UFC, the power that the guys who are running the business now versus the fighters, I think that is just too much. It's so far from being like boxing that I don't think it's gonna change.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I agree.
I think guys should be able to get sponsors, and they should be able to have their sponsors in the fights. I think that's every sport, because when it comes down to it, it's the UFC as a company, but it's an individual sport. You got to go in there by yourself and risk your life. Like, why are you not allowing these people to make some extra money?
Exactly. Yeah. But to me,
and there could be other stuff that I don't know about, in the background that Dana could.
Do other sports like basketball and football, do they do sponsors, or is it just a straight?
Do they do sponsors?
No, I mean as far as individually.
Yeah, dude, LeBron makes more off his sponsorships from Nike than he does from the NBA.
So basically, it's like what shoes they wear, or
it'll be
how does that work?
Okay, so it'll be commercial wise, right? So like, okay, we can use LeBron. LeBron, he did a Beats by Dre commercial with headphones, so that he's obviously sponsored by them.
Sprite.
Nike, of course. Sprite.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of things.
It's commercials and it's not attire.
It's
like,
you're talking about in game.
Yeah.
In game, no, they can wear because Steph Curry is sponsored by Under Armour.
Right.
So he can wear his Under Armour, like he has his Under Armour shoes.
Right.
He can wear, the NBA allows them to wear their sponsored stuff.
But what if Steph Curry, sponsored by Under Armour, decides to wear Nikes because he's feeling
he can't do that contractually. I think I said that right. He can't, like, if he has something like that, they tape it off or they do something like it's too much money involved.
Okay, I got you. See, I thought it was like where, you know how those fighters used to come in with like 10 different things on one side of their shorts. Like, I thought that was how.
I like that, and I think that's
like
cool.
that too.
Everybody doesn't want to be, dude. Like I said, this is from a fan's perspective, right? So everybody might not agree with me. I don't care. It's not cool that all we can fucking buy is Reebok or Venom stuff from like, dude, I want to wear a hoodie that's sponsored by somebody that everybody doesn't have on.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, in them days, everything was cool. Like, it'd be cool, like, in the press conferences to see guys with the drinks, like, to see what they actually like to drink.
Right, yeah.
Like, if they get sponsored by, what's that fucking drink you like, Twisty or Twister? Yeah, like, so if somebody drank fucking Twister, if they could, like, have that as a sponsor, you know that they fucking drink that.
Yeah. And
want to put it, you know, on the desk instead of
I agree with that.
Warm Monster can.
Or an empty Monster can.
Yeah, dude, them monsters look so. I be staring at the Monster cans and I just be like, oh, they don't have nothing in them?
No, they be.
Oh, yeah, because
they hold them upside down.
Yeah. Well, didn't they start emptying them after Connor threw one?
Yeah, I think so.
So, but before that, I used to stare at the Monster can and be like, dude, it looks so flat and just warm. It's like the most disgusting monster in the world.
There's no sweat from it or nothing.
I think it's cool. Like, I liked when Floyd, after his Manny Pacquiao fight, they asked him what he's gonna do, and he's like, I'm going to Disneyland. Like, that's a thing in football, where it used to be a thing, like when guys won the Super Bowl, they're like, I'm going to Disneyland. Like, there's things like that. You know, without getting carried away,
right?
It makes fighters individuals again, and I think that it'll bring more people to UFC because guys are actually rooting for their guy because he actually has the same type of what am I thinking of? Like, he has the same type of personality and like, oh, he likes to do he likes to drink what I drink, or oh, he likes it, and you know, guys can get drunk and fighters can get paid more from that because if you're risking your life like that, you know, we see what happens when guys retire. There's no retirement plan, like
especially with the contractual pay. Like, when you have a certain set amount on your contract, nobody in the UFC is making as much as somebody in MLB or NFL. Right. So to me, that's like, it's just weird that you're risking your life like that, and then somebody who's good at catching the ball is making millions more than you. Yeah. And you're not getting any health benefit from it. You're not able to wear your own clothes. I mean, all of that is weird to me.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, it's definitely, there's no comparison with UFC and MMA in general with
This thing just.
And we're back after a short edit. But like we were saying before, you know, with fighter pay and things like that, it's definitely it's very one-sided as far as like with other sports and the UFC and MMA in general. And what I wanted to say was I think that it's kind of cringy when Dana White speaks on pay-per-view buys. You know, you talk all this stuff about pay-per-view buys like you're competing with other sports, like, oh, we did this. Like, it's kind of like trying to flex against like boxing. That's how I look at it. Right. You know, it's kind of like a flex, and I'm like, you know, why are you doing all that when you know, these guys are getting paid like it doesn't matter. Right. Yeah. You know, it all comes down to the pay. And you see guys, there are certain guys who won't come to the UFC or decide to leave the UFC because of money. And in the future, with technology and the way things are going, with how you can interact with fans and stuff, and people are getting creative, like AK Mike Perry, who came in with his girlfriend as his cornerman, and then he started paying. He was like, I'm gonna pay people, or you pay me and you can come corner me. Yeah. You know, people get creative with things like that. You know, it shouldn't have to go that far, but definitely think you should bring back sponsorships.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a long tangent, but very passionate about it.
Yeah, get on that, Dana.
Dana's like, man,
peons.
Yeah. Get some internet.
Right.
So, Rob Font, his USADA test came back and it was positive after his last fight with Cody Garbrandt, and in recent news, as much as today, it was overturned. And a lot of people, I think if you ask a lot of people, in my opinion, they probably be like, oh, okay, cool. I took it as like, that's a serious thing. I think that that being overturned should be huge news, because of the way when you test positive for something, man, USADA does not give second chances right now.
Yeah.
Like, you're sitting down for a minute with USADA. They don't play about that, and they shouldn't, because guys shouldn't be taking that different things like that. So for him, I was really happy about that, because he's on a 4-fight win streak and he's looking really good, and that would just be a very bad time for him to have to deal with something.
Yeah,
like that,
yeah. It's good that they got that they nipped it in the butt real fast, because a lot of times
you don't think USADA takes it too far, do you?
So at times, yeah. Like with the Chad Mendez situation, I thought that was unnecessary for them to suspend him for 2 years. With the weed, how they did, what did they ban Nick Diaz for like 5 years? Yeah, that was ridiculous. And I mean, there's been other times, like there's been other cases there where it was just a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also been cases where they treated it like it was really nothing. Like with didn't Yoel test positive before, where they only suspended him for like 8 months or something like that? You automatically get.
So I think Silva tested positive too, and
you automatically get a 6 to 8 month suspension after a fight anyway. So like you basically only suspended him after, like, for the time that he was going to be off anyways.
Right.
But yeah, I think that it's good that they got it taken care of real fast, and made sure that he was able to keep his ranking and stay back in there.
Yeah, man. I'm glad that they work. Obviously, we're seeing with Rob Font, they're working, diligently to make sure that they get the right thing. If it tests positive, they're doing their research. They're going back and making sure, checking, all their P's and Q's, crossing their T's, dotting their I's, all that shit, to make sure that they got things right, because it is such a serious thing. So respect to USADA for that.
Yeah.
And he can keep moving forward.
Right.
So I know we got a few more things before we get up out of here. Maybe 1, 2.
So one I only got one more thing I want to go over, and
Okay.
It was one thing that we were talking about with guys that are really, really good in the practice room, but then when it comes to showing up when it's time to perform in front of a crowd, they kind of fold. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree with that, because I've seen it in other sports, and of course not at the level of like professional athletes,
right, like
in UFC, but I've seen it. I've seen guys who, it's a comfortability thing. I think that when you're in your house or in your zone, around people that you can kind of like, be comfortable with, you have that. You don't have that nervousness. You don't have that extra stress on you. You don't get tired from that adrenaline dump. You kind of just, you fight the way you should fight. And I think we see that. Like, there's fights that there's guys who you see them come out and they're tense, or they're, too aggressive, and they just can't get it going. Right. But that if they were in the practice room, with their guys, you'd be like, oh, it's a completely different fighter. So there's a lot of things you got to do to be a great UFC fighter. There's a lot of pressure. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people take that into account.
Yeah,
when they talk about
fatigue.
That's a big thing. Yeah. And I don't think people take that into account, especially guys who are like a Calvin Gastelum, who's, where does he go from here? Those type of situations, thinking about that and different things. So I think there are guys that we might not know about, but champions and fighters who are really good. Yeah. Oh, they really know these guys and like what could have been. Mm-hmm. So I definitely believe in it.
Do you think that that's part of the reason that a lot of the fights at the Apex and these fights with no crowds have been a lot better than?
Now I know you disagree with this, but I believe so. I think that fighting.
What do I disagree with?
Well, remember we had the whole discussion about the whole fans thing, and
I like it better with no fans.
No. I agree with you. I'm talking about, does fans impact fights?
They do, yeah.
Well, I thought you said they didn't.
No, they definitely do.
Oh, okay, then we agree with each other. That's what I'm saying.
I think that the fans impact fights negatively. That's my whole thing. I don't think that they're as important as most people think they are. I think the fights are better without them. Because people can perform like they do in the gym. I
think fans just impact it in general, negative and positive. I think if fans are rooting for a guy, I think it gives them that extra. We've seen guys who are like when fans start
like Tony.
Tony. we see him, and I think that without all that crowd noise and stuff, there's certain there's like cerebral fighters. There's fighters that need that focus, and then there's wild men who need the crowd. You see guys who want the crowd to get pumped up, and then there's guys who like really don't want the crowd there.
Yeah.
And so they can get into their zone.
One guy I thought was like that, but is kind of proved me wrong, was Justin Gaethje. I thought that he needed the crowd to perform the way he does, and then when I watched him fight Tony without the crowd, I was like, oh my God, Justin Gaethje looks better without a crowd.
I think Gaethje's always had that in him. I think Gaethje everybody goes into like Gaethje just getting into brawls and like, them crazy knockouts and stuff. Yeah. But in between all that, if you watch the way Gaethje fight, he shows times where he's like, he's got it. And I always looked at Gaethje like that. I'm like, oh, he's got it. Like he's one of those guys that are like, he's a fighter. Like so without the crowd, you got to see a lot more of that. And he kind of like, in training camp, he's improved a lot and things like that. But not only do I think he improved, I think he just showed more of what he had.
Right.
I think he took some down in one aspect and brought some up in another one, because I think it was always there.
Okay.
With him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but like guys like Tai Tuivasa, last year during COVID, he didn't do so well.
Right.
With the crowd comes and this guy's on a roll now.
Yeah. That's true.
So
that's true. Yeah, I guess it does. Maybe there's some fighters it does and some it doesn't. But overall, if you ask me, I think the fighters perform, and the fights are better without the crowd. I like it. I like it without them. I'm not really a big fan of fans.
Yeah, me either. I like it quiet, and I want to hear DC.
Yeah.
Tell me everything the fighters need to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing that's nice too. It sounds funny, but that hearing the commentators,
that helps our knowledge, our fighting knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's helped me a lot. It helps
us a lot.
Yeah. You learn different things. I think when you can hear, like, I'm one of those guys. I'm big on the commentary when I hear guys like Dominic Cruz talk about different things that are going on, or DC. I'm listening for certain things that he's saying. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that, but now I kind of can see that, and I think that that's great for fighting, like the purest form of fighting, like without the crowd or anything. It's one human being versus another one, and it's basically to the death, but we got referees. So I think that to say all of that, I think that the fans do make an impact, but there are practice champions.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah, that was a good little discussion about that.
Right.
So we're gonna wrap things up. We got fights this weekend that we covered earlier in the week. We got PFL is they're doing the
how do you even watch
finals
that?
Of the tournament. I don't know how to watch it. I'm not gonna.
And Chael Sonnen said that he talked to whoever is running that things over there at the PFL, and that it's not a tournament. It's like more of a season, like games, like how football is. It's like a season, and like certain things determine what's gonna go certain ways, because you don't have to only win to get into the finals. You can lose and still end up being in the finals. So,
do you think there'll be this is probably my last thing? Do you think that there should just be one universal organization, or
No.
do you think multiple?
Multiple. I like how it is. The only thing that sucks is that the how much of a front runner the UFC is. Like, there's high level talent everywhere, but it just most of it is in the UFC.
Yeah, it's like
and how hard it is to watch these certain other organizations. Like, I don't know where to go to watch ONE FC.
Well, okay.
I don't know where to go to watch.
Do you think
PFL.
these other companies are looked at as like the place, like kind of like bare knuckle, like this is where you go when you can't make it in the UFC, or when your time's kind of up in the UFC?
That's
how I don't think that's fair, though.
I don't think that's fair. The old guys go to Bellator, right?
Yeah.
That's how it always is. I don't think it's fair either, but it is kind of a fair assessment just because statistically that's how it plays out. Most of these old guys go to Bellator. That's a fact. So it's not really fair that it happens that way, but statistically it's a fair assessment.
Okay. Well, I hope to see Bellator. I think they got a lot of great competitors, coming up in Bellator. Like AJ just won that fight against Pitbull. I think he's a great prospect for Bellator and champion. So, a lot of these other organizations, I'm going to start tuning in a lot more. Like you said, it is kind of hard to watch some.
Yeah, I don't know where to go to watch.
Yeah, I guess I'm just not. I know ESPN Plus, and I can get my, my UFC. But, like you said, I think, what'd you say, one championship?
One, yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of, because there was some Demetrius Johnson fights that I wanted to see, and I wasn't able to see them.
Exactly. Yeah, because you just don't know where to find them. That's the one problem that's hard in combat sports. And growing up, or not growing up, but I mean, being a wrestler in high school and, after, is the same thing. It's more the same, where you just don't know where to find this stuff. Like the Olympics, who knew when the wrestling Olympics came on? Like when nobody knew when these guys were wrestling, and it's always at an inconvenient time, like 2 a.m. These guys were wrestling at 2 a.m, and then the next match that you want to see is at 6 a.m. It just doesn't make sense. Why are they making it so hard for us to watch? Yeah. And you have to pay for them. You don't have to pay for the Super Bowl. Why do you have to pay for a fight? It just doesn't make sense. I get that they want to make some money, and we're willing to do that. But $70 for a fight, like, come on, man. The Super Bowl's free. You don't got to pay for that, and that's the biggest organization, one of the biggest organizations in the world.
You're talking $70 like the UFC?
For just one UFC card is $70.
Yeah, I think
that's ridiculous.
See,
and you have to pay for ESPN Plus.
I'm gonna defend the UFC a little bit, right? $70 for a pay-per-view is a lot. But the amount of cards they give us for $4.99, it kind of, to me, it kind of balances out in a way. We get a lot of good fight night cards that we can watch for $4.99 a month, and there's fights every single weekend for the most part. Do I want to pay $70? Of course, no. But at the same time, like when I think about it, we are a little spoiled. Because we do get a lot of free fights.
Yeah, they put on some good fights.
Not free, right? But we get a lot of cheap fights. That could be $70 fights.
Yeah.
So.
We do get some high quality fights, but I'm just saying that the whole point is just that these bigger organizations like MLB, NHL, NBA, all of those, you don't have to pay to watch those. There's good basketball games. There's good football games. You don't have to pay to watch them.
Combat sports you do though. That's traditionally
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's harder to watch these combat sports because some people, you either don't have the money, you don't have the access to, some people don't have cable. I remember at one point before ESPN Plus, you had to have cable to watch these.
Right.
Nobody has that. Nobody has cable anymore. Everybody has Wi-Fi now, right? So certain things you have to have a cable provider, and to watch the Olympics and wrestling, you had to have NBC or NBC Sports or something like that. Most people don't have that anymore, and if you do, you have to, or if you download it on your phone, you have to have a cable provider. Yeah. Most people don't have it, so it's they make it difficult for us to watch, for one, which makes it more difficult to gain fans because.
I get it.
And then that's hurting your own profit and your own pockets because you're making people pay for so many different things. If we're paying for ESPN Plus, why do we have to pay for the fight too? Why not just make it a set amount for ESPN Plus and then you get all the fights for free? Or make it a set amount for a UFC app. Make your own app. Make us pay for a UFC app and then have all the fights on there. There's so many different things.
Too much money floating around.
There's so many different things that they can do.
I agree with you,
more fans and get more money.
There's partnerships, there's agreements. There's just like you said, with the Super Bowl, the reason it's not pay-per-view because, them dudes make more than the UFC make with one Pepsi commercial.
Exactly.
So, but that's only because of viewers. UFC doesn't have nearly the amount of viewers
because they make it so hard for us to watch.
Well, they make it hard to watch, but at the same time, the NFL has been around since the 20s, 30s. It's been probably on television since the 60s. You know, UFC is still very new, and you talk about these other companies. I mean, these are babies, you know, compared to these other. Now, boxing, if we wanted to discuss that, you know, that's a little bit different. But when it comes to MMA and things like that, you know, I agree with you. I understand where you're coming from, but yeah, it's too much money floating around, so they're gonna do it the way they want to do it, man.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So we're gonna wrap things up here. If there's anything you had, any questions, comments, concerns? I had an old coach who used to say that shit. Yeah. Every fucking at the end of practice.
What's the question of the day?
Okay, let me give you a quick. I actually thought about this. So if you're walking in the mall, right, and somebody like walks past your girl and kind of like touches her butt, do you automatically have to fight that dude?
Yeah.
Okay.
If he that's basically
yeah. Like, how far does that was kind of a bad example, but let me give you the premise of what I want to say. Like, how far should a woman take ownership of like somebody else coming at her or disrespecting her before you step in?
If somebody's coming at her, you should already be stepping in, depending on if it's a male or female, right? So I should always be defending my girl if she's not in the wrong. If my girl's in the wrong, I'm not gonna let somebody.
So if she's
I'm not gonna let somebody touch her, no. Yeah. But I'm also not gonna. I'm not gonna defend her like, oh well, she didn't do anything. You know, I'm gonna make sure I put my foot in whoever's butt that needs it.
If you coming out of Foot Locker and you coming out of Foot Locker, you smiling, you just bought your brand new shoes, and you see your girl over there looking at perfume, and there's a dude over there talking to her. You don't know what he's saying to her, but you see that there is a conversation on both ends that's engaged. What do you do? Do you walk? Are you gonna walk over there?
Yeah.
I'm not walking over there.
I'm gonna ask her what's going on.
I'm immediately. It's over. No, it's over.
That's crazy.
It's over.
That's crazy.
If you know, I am there. One, you know you got a boyfriend or a husband, right? Two, you know I'm in the area. And I'm walking out of a store and you are engaged in a conversation with another man.
What if she's telling him,
I'm going home?
What if at that specific moment, she's telling him, I got a man, you need to get on?
That takes 2 seconds. If you are still talking,
what if that's what you look at and you're like, nah, I'm out.
But what if he's relentless? What if he persists? And
So look, my sister just posted something on her Snapchat, right? And I slid up and I told her, because my sister's 21, she has 2 kids, and even though she's an adult, even though she's an adult, she's still a modern woman in modern ages right now. This Gen Z whole thing, whatever. Yeah. And I told her that, because she was talking about how guys get butthurt and they want to keep trying, and I told her, with men, 1,000 no's and a yes is yes, right? If you can say no however many times you want, if you say yes one time, that means yes. You never said no. And if a man gets your attention, that wants your attention, he doesn't care whether it's negative or positive. You're replying to him. So no reply is the clearest way to send a message. If you don't want somebody talking to you, don't talk to them back.
Walk away.
Exactly.
If I'm walking out of Foot Locker and you do not walk away, I'm walking to the exit.
With that being said, to a certain extent, I do agree, but not that dramatically.
I might actually walk back in Foot Locker and be some, be some of the things in Foot Locker. Man. I'm just playing. My head's down. But yeah, women got it hard, but at the same time they don't, because it's not a hard decision to make. Yeah. Because you walk away. Now, if he puts his hands, like I said, the whole but
exactly,
that was kind of
touching is different.
But if she's not like, you know when somebody's like you don't know what they're saying, but you know when somebody's like, oh, you know, just shooting the shit with you, but you're engaging in the conversation. And to me, I'm leaving. Like, I'm not gonna put up with that at all. I think that's super disrespectful.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Just remember, no reply is the clearest way to send a message, ladies. And remember, no man wants to be your friend.
Do you think? Okay, and this is the last little part of this. If I leave, right, and she's talking to that dude, and I leave, and you know how some women like to reverse and make the argument for themselves. Do you think it's fair for a woman to start arguing with me and call me butthurt about that? Or do you think she should be understandable about what I did? Because that's the first thing that's going to come out of her mouth. A woman's going to argue with you after you just walk out and she's like texting you, where you at in the mall or something, or wherever the fuck you at. And you're like, I left. And then she's like, well, why are you so hurt?
See,
like,
that's going to be, that's exactly what's going to happen. It's really an argument you can't win unless you, like, record it. You got to record her talking to the dude. Oh, see what you was doing? Because she's going to deny it.
She'll say that's
she's either going to deny it
Photoshop.
or she's going to just say, oh, well, you were just trying to come up with your own thing in your head or what. It's going to be some kind of excuse. So you're never going to be able to win it.
Chris, are you walking out? Or are you walking over there?
I don't know. I'm probably walking over. I'm not walking out.
What are you going to say?
I don't know. Just,
that's why I'm walking out.
What's up? What's up, babe? What's going on? Who's this? Who's your friend?
Exactly. Yeah. See, that's a more mature. That's a more mature way to handle
that.
it.
No, that's not.
That's a more mature.
That's not mature.
I don't want to just walk away making assumptions.
You're
I want to
curious. No, you're doing that because you're curious.
Because that's your
right.
girl.
I am curious.
You're no longer my girl.
Yes.
What?
I'm curious.
No.
I'm curious what happened, and I'm gonna talk to her about it afterwards too. Like, what happened? Did he approach you? What did he say? What was going on?
Exactly.
How did the
and you
go?
can tell when they're lying, man. Come on, you can tell.
Usually, yeah.
So.
I can tell from Foot Locker too.
All
right, well, we gonna get out of here, man. This is From a Fan's Perspective podcast. This was episode 4. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
And if you dislike it. We appreciate everything, Either way it goes, we don't care, man. We just hope you guys are watching the comment, enjoying what we're doing because we love to do it. We're gonna do it anyway, so we stuck some microphones and a camera in front of us. And stuck the white man behind us. Whoa. Whoa. Yo.
No homo.
Pause.
Yeah.
No homo.
Stuck the white man behind the camera to get some things done. And I'm your boy JB. I'm here with my co-host.
Mr.
And white boy Chris.